Welcome to the deep dive. You've given us some really compelling material today, excerpts from Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, specifically letter 4. Our mission is to, well, go beyond just the surface of this initial, pretty unbelievable encounter in the Arctic. We want to really understand the significance of Captain Walton's first impressions of this mysterious, suffering stranger.
Exactly. You've handed us the opening scene of what becomes a really profound drama. We need to look closely at Captain Walton's narration, not just for, what happens, but for what it reveals about ambition, isolation, and, well, the very nature of what it means to be human.
Okay, let's plunge right into this frozen landscape then.
Yeah.
The letter kicks off with this incredibly visceral image. The ship locks solid, nearly surrounded by ice, and just enveloped in this dense fog. You can almost feel the claustrophobia, right? That sense of being utterly stuck.
Oh, absolutely. And the dread.
And then quite suddenly the whole scene shifts. The fog lifts, these vast icy plains stretch out before them, and then literally out of nowhere they see something extraordinary.
What strikes me immediately is the way Shelley uses that dramatic shift. It jolts us, the readers, just as much as Walton and his crew are jolted. They're facing their own immediate peril, stuck in the ice, yet their attention is instantly captivated by something far more unusual.
Yeah.
It really speaks to our inherent fascination with the unknown, doesn't it? Even when our own survival might be at stake.
It certainly does. And what they see is this low carriage fixed on a sledge and drawn by dogs, speeding north across the ice. But it's not just the strange transport in this totally desolate region. It's the figure guiding it. Walton describes a being which had the shape of a man, but apparently of gigantic stature. Hundreds of miles from civilization, they're watching what looks like a giant racing across the frozen wilderness.
And they even use telescopes.
Right. They grab telescopes to track him until he just disappears into the distance. What does that initial image, that gigantic figure, suggest to you?
Well, that initial description immediately introduces a key theme of the novel, I think. It's about transgressing natural boundaries, creating something beyond the human scale. Shelley uses this really striking imagery to foreshadow the potentially, monstrous consequences of ambition that overreaches. This isn't just some big guy, it's a figure that hints at the disruption of the natural order itself.
That's a fascinating point. And if that wasn't enough to unsettle them, the very next morning brings another completely unexpected event.
Right.
The ice breaks, freeing their ship finally, but it also delivers another sledge. This one, adrift on an ice floe, carrying only a single surviving dog and a European man in really dire straits. It's almost unbelievable.
It is.
Two such unusual sights back to back in this remote part of the world. I mean, what are the odds?
It does seem like an incredible coincidence, doesn't it? Two sledges appearing so close together in the vast expanse of the Arctic Ocean. It immediately makes you wonder if there's a connection. Were they traveling together? Did something force them apart? It certainly deepens the mystery surrounding both figures.
And the condition of this second traveler is truly harrowing. He's described as nearly frozen, dreadfully emaciated, and he actually faints as they bring him onto the ship. It paints such a vivid picture of extreme suffering, a desperate fight for survival. Yet, even in this state, near collapse, his very first question to Captain Walton is utterly surprising.
Yes. His question, will you have the kindness to inform me whither you are bound? It's quite remarkable, isn't it? Here's a man who is, at the very edge of life.
Right on the brink.
And his immediate concern is the destination of his rescuers. What do you think motivates that? Such a question from someone in that condition. Could it suggest, a specific purpose or maybe a desperate need to either intercept someone or reach a particular place?
That's a great question. Walton certainly finds it astounding. He notes that he would have expected the man just to see the ship itself as, the ultimate salvation.
Of course.
And when Walton replies that they're on a voyage of discovery towards the Northern Pole, the stranger seems, satisfied. It's another really intriguing reaction. What could possibly account for that?
It suggests maybe that the ship's mission aligns in some way with his own mysterious purpose. Perhaps he believes their northward trajectory might somehow intersect with his own goals, whatever those might be. It just adds another layer to the puzzle. What kind of discovery is he interested in? Is it geographical or something else entirely?
Right. So over the next couple of days, they nurse him back to health, slowly. Walton paints this picture of this interesting creature with these wildly contrasting aspects to his personality. He says his eyes have generally an expression of wildness and even madness. Yet when kindness is shown, his face transforms with benevolence and sweetness. He's often melancholic, full of despair, even to the point of gnashing his teeth. It's a portrait of someone deeply, deeply tormented. What do you make of this duality?
This stark contrast in his demeanor is fascinating. It really hints at a profound inner turmoil, perhaps the result of intense trauma or some deep moral conflict. The flashes of kindness suggest that his suffering hasn't completely extinguished his capacity for good, which makes his current state all the more tragic, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
It makes you wonder what events could possibly have brought such a, well, seemingly sensitive soul to this point of despair.
And then we get this brief but incredibly revealing exchange with the lieutenant. When asked why he was found so far out on the ice, the stranger replies with great sadness, "To seek one who fled from me."
Wow.
And when the lieutenant mentions seeing the other dog's sledge the previous day, the stranger immediately makes a connection, referring to the pursued figure as a demon.
A demon.
And just bombards him with questions about its route.
Yeah.
That's a pretty loaded term, demon. What does that choice of words suggest?
Oh, the use of the word demon is absolutely pivotal.
Right.
It immediately elevates the pursuit beyond just a simple chase. It implies something malevolent, perhaps even supernatural, about the person being sought.
Right.
It injects this sense of gothic horror right into the narrative and suggests that the stakes of this pursuit are incredibly high, not just for the stranger, but maybe for others as well.
It's clear that the stranger has completely captured Walton's attention and, sparked his intense curiosity. Yet, to his credit, Walton exercises remarkable restraint. He doesn't press for all the details of this dramatic chase.
Which is quite something, given the circumstances.
Yeah. The stranger even acknowledges this, expressing gratitude for his considerate nature. Then the stranger asks about what happened to the other sledge after the ice broke, showing his continued, almost obsessive focus on the one he's pursuing. Why do you think he stays so fixated on this, even in his weakened state?
His continued focus on the demon, even amidst his own suffering, suggests a powerful, perhaps all-consuming motivation. It could be driven by hatred, a thirst for revenge, maybe a sense of responsibility, or even some twisted form of love or dependence. We don't know yet. It prevents us from seeing him as just a simple victim and hints at a much more complex relationship with the person he's chasing.
Despite his obvious physical exhaustion, the stranger is desperate to keep watch for the other sledge, which just underscores the urgency of his mission. Walton manages to convince him to rest in the cabin, but it's clear his mind is completely consumed by this pursuit.
Absolutely.
And as they spend more time together, a genuine bond starts to form between them. Walton speaks of feeling affection, admiration, even pity for this man, seeing a noble spirit broken by misery. What do those feelings from Walton tell us about the stranger?
Walton's growing affection, despite the stranger's unsettling arrival and this whole air of mystery, speaks volumes about the stranger's underlying character, I think. His eloquence and cultivated mind, which Walton notes.
Yeah, he mentions that.
They shine through despite his current suffering. Walton recognizes a kindred spirit, maybe. Someone who has clearly experienced both great heights and devastating lows. This connection makes the impending tragedy, whatever it turns out to be, feel even more poignant.
And then we arrive at this incredibly dramatic climax in the letter. Walton, kind of swept up in his own ambition for knowledge and this desire to conquer nature, shares his passionate yearning for discovery, and the stranger's reaction is just visceral.
Oh, completely.
A dark gloom washes over his face. He visibly struggles to contain his emotions. He weeps and then cries out this desperate warning. "Unhappy man, do you share my madness? Have you drunk also of the intoxicating draught? Hear me. Let me reveal my tale, and you will dash the cup from your lips." What do you think is the significance of that outburst?
This is really the emotional heart of the letter, isn't it? The stranger recognizes in Walton a dangerous ambition, a relentless pursuit of knowledge that he himself clearly believes has led to his own destruction.
Yeah, his own badness.
Exactly. And that metaphor of the intoxicating draught is so powerful. It suggests that this kind of ambition can be seductive, all-consuming, and lead to unforeseen and devastating consequences. He sees his own tragic path mirrored in Walton's aspirations and feels compelled, almost obligated, to intervene.
It's such a powerful, raw warning.
Right.
Understandably, Walton's curiosity is now at its absolute peak.
You'd imagine.
But the stranger is completely drained, both physically and emotionally after this outpouring.
Yeah.
He needs time to recover. Later, though, in a fascinating shift, he reflects on his intense reaction and turns the conversation to Walton's own life and his yearning for friendship. Why do you think he shifts the focus like that?
Well, I think it shows a moment of self-awareness, maybe even a touch of regret for his dramatic outburst. By focusing on Walton's desire for friendship, he's subtly connecting his own past. I once had a friend, the most noble of human creatures, to a fundamental human need for connection, for shared experience. And his subsequent lament, "But I have lost everything and cannot begin life anew," just underscores the profound and irreversible nature of his loss. It reinforces the cautionary message he wants to convey.
It's interesting, too, that even in his broken, despairing state, the stranger still finds some kind of solace in the natural world. Walton observes how the starry sky, the sea, and every sight afforded by these wonderful regions seems still to have the power of elevating his soul from earth. What does that detail reveal about his character?
That appreciation for the beauty and grandeur of nature offers another important glimpse into his essential being. It suggests a deep sensitivity, a capacity for awe, qualities that haven't been entirely extinguished by his suffering.
Right.
It makes his current state of despair feel even more tragic, actually, highlighting the profound loss of inner peace he must have experienced.
Walton is clearly deeply moved, deeply impressed by the stranger. He admires his intuitive discernment, his never-failing power of judgment, his penetration into the causes of things, and his remarkable eloquence. He considers him far superior to anyone he has ever encountered. Why do you think Shelley portrays the stranger in such an esteemed light, even in his, ruined condition?
Well, Walton's high regard for the stranger, almost bordering on reverence, serves to emphasize the extraordinary nature of this individual and, consequently, the magnitude of his fall. He's not just some random survivor. He possesses exceptional intellectual and moral qualities that have been tragically marred by his experiences. This contrast between his inherent nobility and his current suffering makes his story all the more compelling and his warning all the more significant.
And finally, we learn that the stranger has made the decision to share his story with Walton specifically as a warning. He hopes that Walton's pursuit of knowledge may not be a serpent to sting you, as mine has been.
Powerful image.
It is. He believes his narrative will carry a crucial moral, and that the unbelievable events he's about to recount will seem plausible against the backdrop of the Arctic's wild and mysterious regions. He feels his destiny is irrevocably determined, and is compelled to share his tale despite the immense pain it will cause him.
Right.
Walton, of course, is deeply grateful and intends to record the stranger's narrative verbatim, which perfectly sets the stage for the central story of Frankenstein. What's the key takeaway from this whole setup?
The key takeaway, I think, is the powerful frame Shelley has constructed here. This letter establishes the setting, introduces the central mystery, and most importantly, positions the stranger's narrative as a crucial cautionary tale. His insistence on sharing his story, despite the personal cost, underscores a profound sense of responsibility and a desperate hope to prevent Walton from repeating his own perceived mistakes in the relentless pursuit of knowledge.
So as we conclude this deep dive into Letter 4, we're left with this incredibly vivid impression of, a bizarre encounter in an equally bizarre and unforgiving landscape. This highly intelligent, obviously deeply troubled European man, rescued from the very brink of death, is clearly burdened by some terrible experience and driven by a desperate and mysterious chase.
Absolutely. And it leaves us with so many unanswered questions, just swirling in the Arctic air, doesn't it? Who was that imposing figure on the first dog sledge? What drove this ravaged man across such treacherous terrain? Who is this demon he relentlessly seeks? What is the nature of the madness he fears Captain Walton might share? And what devastating events led to the loss of his friend and his current state of utter despair? So many questions.
He truly embodies the figure of a divine wanderer, as Walton so aptly describes him, albeit one shrouded in immense suffering and propelled by an enigmatic, urgent quest. His forthcoming narrative holds the promise of profound insights and perhaps terrifying warnings for anyone who dares to delve too deeply into the unknown realms of knowledge.
Definitely. And this deep dive really compels us to consider a fundamental question that resonates even today. Can the passionate, unwavering pursuit of knowledge, even when motivated by the noblest of intentions, ultimately lead to unforeseen and catastrophic consequences?
That's the chilling prospect, isn't it?
It is, and it's one that Captain Walton, in his fervent ambition, would be wise to seriously contemplate as he prepares to hear the stranger's extraordinary and deeply cautionary tale.